of what documents are reviewed when a new account is opened.
The only thing that's really empirical is column 1. That's the only thing you really need to get from the data set. Okay?
The type you mean, or the incidence of fraud.
The incidence.
Incidence of fraud, yes.
The rest of it you get by looking at the document. It doesn't have biometrics.
The document
doesn't-
type, yes.
the document.
No, I guess I'm still trying to figure out how you get that.
Frequency.
That's
That would be
What's
by,
the different kind of that you might be able to use? I think the ACFE has a database.
yeah, the ACFE has a database. There are various other organizations at the federal level that have information. But for, let's say that I'm at a bank and I'm looking at they have 1,000 new account applications in the course of 3 months. Okay, and I look through those 1,000 applications, and 900 of them provided a Florida driver's license as one of the documents. Okay, so of those 900 items, did it turn out that there were any instances of fraud among those 900 driver's licenses? And let's say that I had 3 out of the 900 that, or 1 out of the, yeah, 3 out of the 900 that were fraudulent. That's what gives me my frequency of 0.003 in that third, fourth line.
So you're actually thinking about getting it from an organizational.
That's one source. I'm going to get the information about the independent variables from the repertory grid. I'm going to have to get that at the organizational level. That's where I do my interviews. Okay. At the same time I'm doing that, my intention is to begin gathering the information about their experience of new accounts. But one of the things that I'm going to talk about in just a minute here is that there may be problems with that, and so what my backup plans are.
I think the problem is, just to clarify, your first column, other than the first row, other than the first column, you are getting from the repertory grid.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. Then you are filling this 1 and 0 on your own by looking at the document. That's perfect. But it is not very clear that how we are getting the first column number 0.003, whether you are getting from the document or whether you are getting from some database or whether you are getting from the interviews. That part is not clear. Or
right.
Probably you are also not sure that how you are getting that.
I'm not, because it's going to. I think it's going to depend on the organization, depending on how they keep their records. It may be available in a database, or it may be available. I may have to go to some kind of manual records that they keep relating to opening new accounts. So yes, I'm not sure exactly where that's going to come from.
And that's where quite a bit of uncertainty will be left.
Yes, sure. Agreed. Okay. Speaking of getting the data, one of the things that I'm assuming here for my simulated results is that I have enough rows to be able to do a logistic regression. Okay. And remember, each row represents a different type of identity document. So one of the problems may well be that my N is too small.
Right, and if you just look at the 2, 3 institutions and their common opening process, maybe
There's over 10 different document types, right. So one of the things is, or the alternative is, remember I said that document type is based on the issuing institution. Okay. So one of the alternatives, I think, is to use the reliability of the issuing institution as a proxy. So instead of looking at credibility of the document types that are actually used in opening the new accounts, I would propose using the reliability of the issuing institution. So there may be document types that weren't in fact used to open new accounts, but if I broaden my range to look at reliability of the issuing institution, whether or not it was actually used as a type of document that opened a new account.
Isn't the issuing institution captured in your document type anyway? Because if it's the same, if it's a driver's license but issued by Florida versus something, somebody else, it's anyway a different document type, right?
Correct, correct. And the question is or the way I would look at that is to say, okay, is the Florida driver's license more reliable, considered more reliable than the Alaska driver's license? So even though a particular institution may have only looked at Florida driver's licenses, in the process of eliciting the components of credibility, I would include the Alaska driver's license, even though it wasn't actually used, because they have to have an assessment as to whether or not that would be a reliable identity document if it were presented.
But you won't have the fraud data on that.
No, the fraud data there would be assumed zero.
Right, but that would, make it difficult to use it in the logistic.
Then I'd have to go back to using only, was there fraud, yes or no, in the document types that were actually used.
Right, but even if fraud was there or not, you won't have that information about those documents. It wasn't used.
No, it wasn't used. I'd have to assume zero, that there was not fraud.
But in that case, you cannot assume zero.
I'm sorry?
You cannot assume zero on the basis that is not being used. Say for example, if you use the Alaska driver license, what is the percent of the paper what is the probability that a person opening an account in Florida will use the Alaska driver license? Probability will be
Very
small.
small, right?
Probability is small. So if you assume that zero, that will be wrong interpretation probably.
Yeah, possibly. The other way to do it is to look at institutions in different states. Is to gather information from institutions
and
in
that will
different
be
states.
that will be really cumbersome.
Which will be cumbersome. But another another possibility though is if the data is not available, either it's not available or the N is too small. In either case, then I may be able to go to a level above the institutional level, to the federal level, where information has to be provided by an organization across all branches across the country. And so I may be able to get my N expanded by going to that level. Okay, that's another alternative.
Are there data sources that would seem like a good option if you had?
There are. There's FinCEN, which is the Financial Crime Enforcement Network, which is affiliated with U.S. Treasury. There's the I could also go to the professional organizations, the American Banking Association, for instance, and get their sponsorship, their support to be able to gather data from a broader number of institutions. That's another possibility. The idea being that I want to expand the N by going to a higher level, looking at a wider number of institutions, and so capture more identity document types.
Is that data relatively available? Is it publicly available, or you have to somehow persuade them to give it to you, or confidential? What is the status of?
At the level I would be asking for it. I wouldn't be asking for specifically identifiable information, but some of it would be available under the Freedom of Information Act. Some of it might require an introduction of sorts.